A minute after 11 o'clock on a Wednesday morning, it's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour here on 107.5 The Game. Pearson Fowler, Preston Thorne, Wes Mitchell, Chris Clark here with you, just about 2 or 3 minutes away from talking to Shelly Smith, South Carolina head women's soccer coach. They have won the SEC tournament. They're a 3 seed in the NCAA tournament. We'll talk to her about her team's season, the tournament run, looking ahead to the NCAA tournament. Chris informed me as well that it is signing day for women's soccer, so we'll get her thoughts on future recruiting. Maybe, I don't know, will she be able to talk about stuff? It's always like borderline.
If they are signed, she can talk about
but
it.
if it's like still in the process of being faxed, if it's the slowest fax in the world, that picture of Kaiser Soze, have y'all seen Usual Suspects?
The fax machine has been packed up.
Yeah, they don't really do that anymore.
That's good.
Like Office Space.
I was on the phone with somebody the other day, and I was like, yeah, can I send this to you? And they were like, well, you can fax it to me. I was like, do you have an email address? And they were like, you can fax it to us. I was like, okay, bye. You're just not getting this.
Shut down.
You have a carrier pigeon also?
Yeah. Maybe that's like I don't know, like having the green text messages is a great way of saying like, don't text me. I feel like maybe having a fax machine is like, whatever you're going to send me, I don't want it. Because they probably know that most people aren't going to fax it, right?
More than likely.
You know how to fax.
Yes, it's a skill that I'm trying to erase out of my toolbox.
Yeah, and I don't say that specifically to age you, but I'm trying to figure out what the cutoff is.
Oh, it does.
Wait,
it
no,
does
Wes, you're older than Chris, right?
This is a great...
Barely.
Chris, have you sent the fax before?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay, Wes, have you sent the fax before?
I don't know if I
Ooh,
no, I have
Younger
sent.
at
In
heart.
fact, I don't
Wes
think I've
is.
physically
Okay.
been the one to be like beep 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 beep.
Pearson, have you?
I've not sent a fax.
We used to fax from my parents' business. They had a bakery deli, so we would have to fax sometimes.
I've asked someone to fax something for me.
Here's the true
Wait,
test.
your family had a bakery deli?
We did in Anderson.
That's incredible.
It
I need to
was
hear more about
incredible.
that. But you were going to say something else,
So,
too.
has anybody here dialed on a rotary phone ever?
Yes,
Yes.
I have. Yeah,
Okay.
We used one as a prop in a play one time.
I was going to say there was no way yours was an actual call.
no, mine actually got someone on the other end.
Me
Right.
too. My grandmother had one.
grandma,
It looked like it looked like an airplane.
It makes the
And you-
noise that.
It's super cool.
Yeah, I kind of like the old rotary phone. Not gonna lie,
It was really
can't send a text on one of those.
cool. Trying to hit the button. Like I want to bring it out. I wonder if I don't know where that thing would have gone. My grandmother's passed away since then, but somebody has to have it. And I would like to bring it out and just put it in front of my kids and be like, y'all figure this thing out.
They're
See if
just
you
like,
can figure it out.
What is this? What do we do with this thing? Do we play with it? I don't know. That'd be a really tough. How old are the kids?
Well, my youngest will be 7 actually in just a few days. And the oldest one will be 8 in
yeah,
December.
they'd have no chance.
They'd be trying to like hit the buttons and text on it. How do you send a text?
There's no chance because technology moves so fast. My baby's 3 and I have the cheap computer in the house, and so she can't figure out why it doesn't touch screen. She's hitting it like, why is this thing not moving? And I'm like, yeah, there's keys. And so she wouldn't even know what to do with a mouse. You know what I'm saying? I don't think so.
They have the touchpad.
Yeah, so
They use the Chromebook. Well,
Yeah.
does she use a Chromebook?
not as much as I try not to. She gets it every now and then, but yeah, it's technology. If you want to just know how old you are, just look at technology as how quick it moves past you, and how hard you have to try and keep up with it.
We won't ask our next guest if she has ever sent a fax, although that used to be the lifeblood of recruiting. But we're really happy now to have with us Shelly Smith, the South Carolina head women's soccer coach, fresh off of an SEC tournament win against Alabama, the number 1 seed in the tournament. Coach, first of all, thanks so much for being with us today. How does it feel? Are you still? It's been 3 days now. Are y'all still celebrating the win, or have you completely moved on?
Oh, thanks, guys. Yeah, we are moving on. We're in the NCAA tournament, so man, that focus goes quickly to preparing for your next game. So I guess it's you definitely enjoy the championship as long as you can. But now that we know our next opponent, we're definitely moving on to prepare for that.
Well, and Coach, let me just ask you too, because obviously it was a really good regular season for your team, but you do come into the tournament, the SEC tournament anyway, as the 2 seed. Alabama was expected to be the favorite there. I guess still a 1 seed in the NCAA tournament. But when you go into a tournament like that, it's been a really good season for you. Do you and your team, do y'all play as if you're favorites, or do you still act like, maybe there's there's a chip on the shoulder, there's an underdog mentality to embrace there?
Yeah, I think we definitely embrace the underdog mentality coming in, and I think that's helpful. Sometimes it's nicer when you're not expected to be the one, and it does give you a little bit of the edge to prove yourself. And I felt like we brought that with us to that tournament. We earned the 2 seed by winning the East, and that was a great accomplishment just to start to finish the regular season. And we had let ourselves down a couple of games in the regular season where it was so close to even being a 2 seed. So we had pushed hard in the end of the season to earn that. And then to go into that tournament, we knew we wanted to win a title. Since we missed out in the regular season, our players just had that determination, and they were, ready to try to knock Alabama off, knowing that they were the favorites for sure.
Hey, Coach, it's Wes. I appreciate you doing this, and congrats again. So I know coming into the season, your team kind of had a combination, it seemed like, of some returning veterans that I would think of kind of taking ownership of your program, while also you were trying to, implement some newcomers. How have you seen this team as they've sort of played through that SEC schedule, just kind of, I would say, just come along and sort of gel together as this season has progressed now going into postseason?
Yeah, I think that's actually a great point that you bring up, because that's probably been the difference for us down the road here. We knew coming in the season we had some really strong talent returning, but also joining the program, and it took some time for us to really gel as a group and really find some consistency in our play overall. And through the SEC season, it became much cleaner as a group as we made our way towards the end of the season, and that's what you want to see out of a team. And so they did not peak early. They were still working on things and trying to figure each other out. And it's hard for freshmen to come in and jump in and figure out college, a new team, a new level of play all at once. And our players have done a great job to adjust, as well as the seniors that they're responsible for leading those players too. And they've all done a great job to come together and really be playing their best at this time of the year.
Again, we're joined by South Carolina women's soccer coach Shelly Smith. Coach, I'm curious. So it's Wednesday morning. Obviously, as we're talking to you, what does this week look like for y'all, just from a scheduling standpoint, leading up to Saturday? How much of the approach is more of like, just kind of mental walkthroughs and just getting ready for your opponent versus, I don't like how hard do y'all practice this week, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Is it more of like a mental side of things while kind of easing up physically, or is it still kind of, you're all in as far as leading up to that Saturday?
Yeah, I think depending on how teams are, or their philosophy will be different. But for us, we just came off a week that was long. It's wearing to be on the road and play 3 games in that short amount of time. And so we're in a point where we need to recover probably more than anything. And so today will be our first training back on the field since Sunday, and just trying to regroup, see where we're at. We've got some players that got some knocks during the tournament and just played through some really, tough minutes. And so we're gonna bring some players back. We're gonna be able to push the ones that didn't get to play as much, and just a combination of that, and then kind of focus on continuing to play, but much more lighter probably week than normal, just because of what we went through last week.
Coach Chris Clark here. I wanted to go back to that win over Alabama, and I was at the celebration, the watch party the other day for the NCAA tournament, and heard some of the players and you guys talking about that game and just how much fun it was and how exciting it was. Obviously, a very close, tight game up until the end, but a couple key plays there, maybe from players that I guess maybe are a little bit more of unsung heroes with your team. I just wanted to get you to discuss a couple of those plays. Number one, Brianna, I think that was her first goal of her career. Is that right? So just maybe break down or the season?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's probably, it could be her first goal. She is a junior for us who is a great player, and she really took some things she needed to work on and applied it, and something clicked this season, honestly, where she just has been on fire this during the SEC play. And she's someone that's always worked so hard and focused and has such technical ability, and she had to really continue to raise her level of play to compete in this level, athletically, physically, the speed of play, everything, and she really focused on what she needed to do, and she was rewarded with starting halfway through the season here, where she wasn't consistently starting. She became a full starter for us, and then was rewarded with a goal at a very key moment for us. But she's capable and put herself in those situations, and that's why she's earned that starting role here halfway through the season, and has done a great job for us in the midfield.
The other play that really stood out was right at the end of the game, hanging on there at the end. You get a great save by your keeper, and then this was featured, I think, on SEC Network's Twitter, actually, and picked up a lot of views. Abby Hugo comes in with a sliding save there at the end.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That was a great, amazing play. Honestly, it that just shows you the team effort it takes to not, to win a championship. Really, that team effort defensively. Abby came in the game off the bench and just gave us a huge lift. And to come through like she did, to slide, to block that last shot where it really looked like they had a great opportunity there with the last few seconds of the game, and she thwarted that and was rewarded. It just showed that you have to all be in, and her sliding save was a great example of the effort that it takes to win that championship. And great credit to her. The game before, she had been a little bit distraught and gave up a handball that led to the PK for Georgia, and it was just an unfortunate bounce and really nothing she could have probably done. And so I was so glad to see her come back and be able to kind of finish off that game and really help win the championship.
Coach, I know obviously most of the focus is, I'm sure, on the NCAA tournament, but today is signing day. Recruiting always the lifeblood of any college program. I know you probably can't talk about all of them. I guess some of them already have sent in their letters of intent, but just in general, how important is signing day always, and how do you feel about the group you have coming in? They're going to be future Gamecocks for you.
Yeah, very excited. I think this current class we have, I think was one of our best classes we've ever put together. And then coming in, we were just building on that. With key pieces, there's some players that fill some roles. Like we lose some important players in our current team as seniors and fifth-year seniors and captains, and you need players that continue to come in and step into those roles. And we have some freshmen that are signing. Well, we'll be freshmen next year, signing currently as seniors that I think will come in and be able to step right in, just like a couple of our freshmen did this year, to take huge places for us in the starting lineup and give us big minutes. So that's exciting for us to know we have that kind of potential in that class. And and even if they don't come in and start right away, they have that ability to be a huge impact in the program over their 4 years. And so that's where I do believe this class will have that impact, and very excited to see them come in together and continue to help us compete for championships like we did this week.
Well, Coach, one more thing before we let you go, since I don't get to talk as much soccer as I would like to on this show anyway, but the World Cup right around the corner, that's going to be right in the middle of y'all's tournament run as well. And with a few international players on the team, especially USA, England in the same group here, that game's coming up on the 25th. Have you started to see any sort of competitive jibing or anything like that emerging between some of your players in practice?
No, I think they've really just been focused on what they're dealing with. But everyone's excited to obviously be watching, soccer on the top stage when we get to that point. But no, they're pretty much focused on what they're trying to do here, and obviously classes and making up for missing a week of school. And there's a lot going on, but they are focused on doing what they can. And we have players that are, looking to enter the draft, and they're always following the Premier Leagues and watching the NWSL and watching our former players compete there. So they definitely have their eye on that always. But they've been pretty focused on what they're trying to do here to try to keep their season going as long as they can.
Yeah, no doubt. And what's already a busy time of year is even busier with this World Cup kind of stuck in the middle of November, which is I just have such mixed feelings about. But anyway, Coach, we appreciate the time today. We know you got a tournament to prepare for, so we will let you go. We really appreciate it. Best of luck to you and your team, and we'll catch up with you down the line.
All right. Thank you so much.
That's South Carolina head women's soccer coach Shelly Smith. South Carolina getting started here in the NCAA tournament just a few days after winning the SEC tournament. Another really good season for Shelly Smith and co. Appreciate her time. Appreciate Wes for getting her on the line for us there. 803-404-6100. We'll turn our attention back to some South Carolina football in just a few. Wes and Chris have yet to answer my poll question. I'm going to put their feet to the fire on this one. For those of you that haven't voted yet, at Pearson Fowler, you can let me know how many more wins you think Carolina needs in the regular season for this year to be considered a success.
The Early Game with Bill Gunter and Jen Jensen on your home of the Gamecock, 107.5 The Game.
This is Damon Amendolara with your CBS Sports Minute. We'll see just how much the playoff committee values the conference championships, because if LSU wins the SEC with 2 losses, do you have to put them in? And in the Big Ten, either Ohio State or Michigan will be a 1-loss non-champ. Can you put them in over a Pac-12 champion or an admittedly average 1-loss Clemson ACC champ? The gauntlet is thrown. This is Damon Amendolara.
CBS Sports Radio.
2000, 2008, 2022. When it comes to the economy, those are some scary years. .com crash, housing crash, and the roller coaster we're going through right now. It's a dangerous time to not know your numbers. But over 31,000 businesses have the confidence and clarity they need because they rely on NetSuite by Oracle, the #1 cloud financial system. NetSuite gives you visibility and control of financials, inventory, HR, planning, and budgeting. Manage risk, get reliable forecasts, improve margins. Everything you need all in one place. So, how do you prepare for uncertain times? The answer, NetSuite. NetSuite helps you identify rising costs, automate your business processes, and easily see where to save money. That's why 93% of customers say they improved their visibility and control when they upgraded to NetSuite. What are you waiting for? NetSuite is offering a one-of-a-kind flexible financing program. Head to netsuite.com/play. netsuite.com/play.
Hey Gamecock fans, this is William DiMaggio with Coldwell Banker Realty. Since 1985, my parents Danny and Karen Hood have been striving to give better than expected real estate service to our clients in the Midlands of South Carolina. In 2014, I joined them, and since then, the Hood team has consistently been recognized as the #1 Coldwell Banker Realty small team in the Carolinas. So if you want honesty, integrity, and results backed by experience in buying or selling real estate, call the Hood team at 803-730-2512 or online at thehoodteam.com.
Hey everyone, this is Jimmy Guthrie from Superior Kia in Orangeburg. Personally inviting you to come out to the Superior Auto Mile, Highway 301 North for some big country savings. Everyone knows that out in the country, everything costs less, land costs less, houses cost less, and at Superior Kia in Orangeburg, new Kias cost less. But don't take my word for it. Go to SuperiorMotorsKia.com and see for yourself. Don't forget to click to unlock the deal of the day. Most importantly, at Superior Kia, we don't go to the big city auctions to buy cars. We'd rather buy local trade-ins from local people like you. That's why we price our new Kias so low. It's a win-win for everyone. You get a great deal on a new Kia, and we get our hands on a quality pre-owned trade-in. So if you want the best car at the best price with the best experience, you got to come out to the Superior Auto Mile, Highway 301 North for some big country savings.
Remember, that's SuperiorMotorsKia.com, located on the Superior Auto Mile, Highway 301 North in Orangeburg.
Welcome your guest into a clean, healthy home this Thanksgiving by calling the cleaning pros at Zero Res Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning. Their patented no residue cleaning system gets your carpets, rugs, and upholstery insanely clean. Take advantage of their fall sale going on now. Get 3 rooms of carpet clean for only $129. And when you mention me, Bill Gunner at 107.5 The Game, you'll get a hallway cleaned for free. Easily schedule your cleaning online at ZeroResColumbia.com. GamecockCentral.com. 0 spell it backwards or forwards is the right way to clean.
Hello, I'm Roy Finley.
And I'm Dana Finley, owners of AAA Heating and Air.
South Carolina's crazy weather is hard on your HVAC system. If your unit is living on borrowed time, replace it now with AAA's best deal of the year.
AAA Heating and Air will give you an instant rebate of $1,500 plus 0% financing with no money down and a 15-year parts and labor warranty.
This offer is for limited time. Get 15 years of worry-free operation. A $1,500 savings with 0% financing with no money down for qualified buyers. Call AAA today at 677-1500.
That's a $1,500 rebate, 0% financing, no money down. Call AAA today at 677-1500.
Like the weather, this offer won't last. Call today and we'll install your new unit tomorrow. Call 677-1500. That's 677-1500.
AAA Air when you need us. AAA Heating and Air.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. This is 1075 The Game. Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs, founded by firemen with Pearson Fowler, Chris Clark, and Wes Mitchell on the home of the Gamecocks, 1075 The Game.
23 minutes after 11 o'clock on a Wednesday morning, and welcome back into the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour here on 107.5 The Game. Pearson, Preston, Wes, Chris here with you, and appreciate Shelly Smith for taking some time out of her busy schedule as she gets her team ready for an NCAA tournament run. For those of you that missed that interview, you can catch it on the podcast page, 1075thegame.com, or the app, whatever's easiest for you. A lot of good thoughts on her team, what's been a very, very good season, and just getting started in terms of the things that they want to accomplish. With that in mind, coming back to some South Carolina football, Shane Beamer had his weekly press conference yesterday, started to preview Florida. We'll dig into that, I guess, a little more earnestly tomorrow. I really wanted to stick kind of big picture here with my poll question. How many more regular season games does Carolina need to win for you to consider this season a success? Shane Beamer was asked about that yesterday, said all the right things. Not that specifically, but it was like, hey, you're bowl eligible. Like, do you talk about that as an accomplishment? He's like, yeah, we're glad we're bowl eligible, but it's not what we want to do. And, saying the right things. But I'll put it to you two guys now. Preston and I have given our answers. We have each agreed of the four options. None, season's already a success because you made a bowl. You need one more win, you need two more wins, or you need to win all three. Chris, what will make this season a success for you?
I think one. Would somebody out there really say it has to be three?
4% of people have said that. Yeah.
Was that you?
Yeah, not me. Not me. I planted my flag firmly in one.
Now, that might be. I wonder whoever the 4%ers are. I wonder if that's more of like you have to win. Like they're taking the big picture of, hey, I came in thinking that this team needed to win 9 games, or they're looking at it going, they've won 6, and here's what's ahead. Does that make sense? Because there's a difference. Like,
so if you thought the team was going to win, should have won 9 games, you're going to just hold on to that
like they
position.
should have beaten Arkansas, like coming into the year. You should have done what you've done, and you should have beaten Arkansas and Missouri, and now you just need one more.
Okay.
Or, hey, I don't care if they're playing, 2 fringe playoff teams and Florida on the road. They still need to win 9, and that's my expectation.
Well, it's funny. I hadn't thought about that, but I did think, like, the purpose of this was almost kind of how do you adjust your expectations for what you've actually seen during the season? But I was almost thinking in the other way. Like, there are probably a lot of people that in August said, yeah, this team's probably going to be 6-6. The schedule's a little bit tougher. You might get a little bit better. And if you felt like on August 15th, this team was going to be 6-6, you might be inclined to say the team has already succeeded because they did what you wanted them to. But like the point in this exercise for me is allow yourself to move the sticks in the middle of the season if you need to. And Carolina has 3 more football games. I think it's fair to expect them to win 1 more, even if they're tough games.
I think that's fair. I mean, I kind of rank them. I don't know if anybody cares, but
I do. That was my follow-up.
Okay, so I've got at Florida as the most winnable.
Cool.
And then Clemson on the road, actually, and then Tennessee.
Okay, so
from a matchup standpoint.
Adjacent question, though, because you're going winnable, and I agree with that. What if Carolina is going to win 1 more football game, what is the best game for that to be?
Oh, Clemson game.
For sure?
Absolutely.
Okay.
A road game against Clemson.
Preston and I both went Florida.
Yeah. I mean, that's fair.
Because I feel like that represents, like in 2019, Carolina beating Georgia didn't mean that they were better than Georgia. Carolina beating Clemson this year wouldn't mean that they're better than Clemson. It would just mean they were better on that day. If Carolina beats Florida for the second year in a row, I think you can start to say, all right, Carolina is in the same way that Missouri has beaten Carolina 4 years in a row and probably feels like they're a better program. I think you can feel like you have made that progress relative to one of your East opponents or East rivals.
I think it's Florida.
Mm-hmm.
However, with the idea of Clemson, if we're talking about building narratives and what that could mean for prospective programs, that does change the way people see maybe both the programs. So I do think it's Florida, but if you say Clemson, I think there's the two answers are either Florida or Clemson. I'm not sure how much the Tennessee game matters.
Yeah, Carolina needs to not lose that game by 25 points.
That's where I'm at, and I know that sounds like a loser mentality, but it's honestly not. It really is not. But I would just like to see, because of Tennessee's offense, any game they play has a chance to get out of control quickly, and that would be especially deflating. We're not even there yet, so I don't even know why. I'll save that for next week.
Okay. Wes, how many more wins does this team need, if any?
I feel like I have two answers. One of them is, all right. So here's the thing. I'm looking at each individual 3 games left. South Carolina is going to be a massive underdog in all 3. So I do think it is going to be tough, realistically, to expect them to win one.
I think so too. Florida's 5-4. They're a 9-point favorite. They're 5-4. Is Florida 9 points better than South Carolina right now, in your opinion?
From a matchup standpoint, yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. Because look at what Vanderbilt was able to do on the ground against South Carolina, and then look at what Florida can do on the ground. Like it is, they're gonna have to score 30-something points to win this game.
Right.
So
on paper. And I'm always the one making the argument on paper. But shouldn't you just, like, if you're a South Carolina fan or you're someone that's mapping the future of the progress of this program, or the progress of the future of this program, Carolina's 6-3, Florida's 5-4. Like, you should be able to go win that football game, regardless of what the matchups dictate. You should find a way to win that football game.
The games aren't played by records. Like, games are played by human beings on the field, and they're dictated by the matchups. Like, you want to talk, we've talked about playing to a score and, on this show. The score for this game that you're going to have to play to is much higher than certainly the stretch of A&M, Kentucky, and Missouri, in my opinion. So can South Carolina now? The one thing on paper that I think will give you a fan some hope is that this is not a good Florida defense. Like, they really are not. They've given up a bunch of yards. They've given up a bunch of points. If you can, there's a path to see South Carolina going and doing some of the same things they successfully did at Vandy, at Florida.
Or even to Florida last year.
Yeah, to an extent. And, I think, like, of the 3, this is, I would say, by far the most winnable game. But I can't look at Florida and say, they're 5-4. That means South Carolina should be able to win this game, because the matchups say that is just not true.
So you're right. It's not played on paper. It's not played, by the record, and the matchups do matter when you're talking about a football game. But when you're talking about Carolina needing to get better, I'm not going to say this is a game that Carolina should win. I don't think that they will win. When I submit my pick to Colin either later today or tomorrow, it's probably going to be for Florida to win, and honestly, probably to cover the spread. Just because I don't really believe in this team right now, but for them to kind of turn a corner and prove that they're better than they were last year, I feel like this is the kind of game. Is it stupid, Preston, to say, like, matchup aside, like, you should just go beat a team that you're roughly equivalent with?
No, it's not stupid to say that, but the way Wes laid out that argument, I'm a little bit more persuaded by that.
So if you're that easily, I guess, game planned against or killed by a matchup, like, maybe you're just not that good.
Well, I think that, excuse me, I think that's where we are. I don't think Florida's that good either, but the thing that they are good at happens to be what we've shown to not be good at also.
Yeah.
So that's where I guess the styles makes fights idea so it comes along.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna have to score some points, but I think here's the thing: if South Carolina can find a way to win one of these games, and really, I can rank them, but I don't think anybody's gonna get picky about which one it is. If a win over Florida, massive in its own right. A win over Tennessee is a national story and knocks them out of the playoff for good. And a win over Clemson ends a streak where they have dominated you as a program. So any of the three may be created equal in some ways, because I think because then you do need one to fill that step forward as a program. I don't know if one is realistic, but if you could get it, now you're talking about a chance to get 8 in a bowl game, and it's something you can really point to as far as the perception of your program. And I think to get 6 would just kind of feel like, well, it's kind of what they did last year.
Chris has a counterpoint. We got to save it though.
Let's do it.
Hold that thought. Write it down. I don't want you to forget. 803-404-6100. Chris is a very fast writer. More thoughts. What game does Carolina need to win, if you believe they need to win one of these final 3 for the season to be a success?
More of the Extra Point coming up next on 107.5 The Game.
Attention, did you or a loved one live at or near Marine Base Camp Lejeune in North Carolina between 1953 and 1987? If so, listen closely for this important legal announcement. From 1953 to 1987, Marines and their family members at Camp Lejeune drank water that was contaminated with hazardous toxins. The toxins found in the water at Camp Lejeune may cause health issues, especially later in life. Types of health issues associated with water at Camp Lejeune are numerous. If you or a loved one lived near Camp Lejeune between 1953 and 1987, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation without going to court. Even if you were turned down in the past, a new law can allow you to file a claim today. If you or a loved one spent time near Camp Lejeune, call the Negligence Network to find out if you're eligible for financial compensation. There's no fee unless we win your case. Call 1-800-700-4333. That's 1-800-700-4333. 1-800-700-4333.
If you're dealing with injuries or pain, count on the experts at Lexington Orthopedics and Sports Medicine to get you moving again. Our highly specialized physicians offer comprehensive care for patients at 5 convenient locations throughout the Midlands. Whether you're an athlete looking to return to your sport after injury or someone who needs help for knee, hip, elbow, shoulder, or foot pain, we're here for you. Our expert team can get you better sooner. Visit lexmed.com/ortho to learn more.
Hey, if you've got a hole in your roof or you need a whole new roof, you need to call Mid-State Roofing, 356-1919. For nearly a quarter of a century, Mid-State Roofing has established its reputation as the leader in the roofing industry. Whether it's above your head or at your feet, perhaps a leaky foundation, 356-1919 is the number to call for all your roofing and waterproofing needs. The quality and craftsmanship of a Mid-State roofing system are tops in the industry, especially commercial and industrial roofing systems. If you own or you're in charge of a large building, warehouse, or industrial facility, then you're in charge of that roof. And at some point, a roof is going to need some attention. So the number to call for advice, service, results, and a commitment to customer satisfaction is 356-1919. See all that Mid-State has to offer when you click on midstateroofing.com. Tell them, Mid-State twins.
If you have a leak, let Mid-State Roofing take a peek.
356-1919, midstateroofing.com.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required. Refund available for 60 days after purchase.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/radio. You'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. Results are guaranteed or your money back. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/radio. That's forhims.com/radio for your free online visit. forhims.com/radio.
Your local radio stations are here for you. No subscriptions or monthly fees necessary. We're here to give you the news, weather, and traffic you need and the music you love. But if the foreign-owned record labels get their way, it could stop the music. They want Congress to force radio stations to pay them more money simply to play their music. Don't let radio go silent. Text LOCAL to 52886 and tell Congress to protect local radio stations. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Hi, I'm Emmitt Smith, Hall of Famer and all-time leading rusher with exciting news.
Football legend Emmitt Smith talking about all new regenerative treatments for joint pain from the local medical professionals at QC Kinetics.
But did you know that you can encourage your body to actually heal itself with the help of QC Kinetics?
QC Kinetics uses biologic therapies that are natural, restorative, and long-lasting.
The body is an amazing thing. Trust me, I put mine through a lot.
Exciting new relief is here for pain from arthritis, knee pain, lower back pain, pain in your hips and shoulders.
I'm that guy. When you Google shoulder pain, my face pops up.
But you don't have to be sidelined by pain anymore. Call QC Kinetics to learn more about biologic therapies.
Don't let your joint pain keep you from doing the things you love. There's a new natural solution that patients are raving about.
QC Kinetics.
Let QC Kinetics help you improve your quality of life.
Call QC Kinetics, 803-281-6860. That's 803-281-6860. 803-281-6860.
It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs, founded by firemen with Pearson Fowler, Chris Clark, and Wes Mitchell on the home of the Gamecocks, 107.5 The Game.
11:38 Wednesday morning. It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour. Welcome back in. Pearson, Preston, Wes, Chris here with you, talking a lot of Carolina football here as the Gamecocks get ready to take on Florida, the most winnable, likely, of their remaining 3 games. Actually, you gave your list, Chris, and I like it, and I agree with it. Is it worth evaluating a little more today? Is Florida actually the most winnable game left on the schedule, or is it the Clemson fence? Because they don't have any O. I don't know.
Yeah, it's the Florida game.
Huh?
It's still Florida to me.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Clemson's defense is a little better.
But no one in the Clemson-Carolina game is going to score more than 10 points, so the game will always be within reach.
Don't agree with that.
Really?
Yeah, Clemson
I
will
saw
score.
Clemson be pretty not good on offense last year and scored 30.
Yeah,
because they ran the ball. That's the
Their
concern
offense
for
is
South
worse
Carolina
this year
now.
than it was last year, though, right?
Not when it's humming. It hasn't hummed lately, but DJ has in spots played a lot better.
Hummed against Wake Forest.
It hummed nonetheless.
Hmm.
So
I guess so.
But
He's
had a
provide
couple
the same
games.
matchup problems that Florida does.
So here's the matchup thing. Wes, thank you for saving me during the break. He reminded me that I had a thought that I error wrote down on this desk.
That's why I told you to write it down because I knew
You
I
should
was
have
going to forget.
really wrote it down.
So it gave me like 5 seconds to think of it. So when you were saying that, if you're so reliant on matchups that basically means that you're not very good if you have to be overly reliant on matchups. I don't look at it that way. I think it just means that you're not markedly better. And so most of the teams, like all these toss-up games or like could win games or could lose games for South Carolina, that's not like the Tennessee game. They're going to be a double-digit favorite,
24,
probably. Whew. Whatever they are, it's going to be multiple scores, and rightfully so, based on what we've seen from both teams. Tennessee is a better team, top to bottom, by a decent margin. But like Florida and South Carolina A&M, South Carolina, Kentucky, South Carolina, Missouri.
They're all the same team.
Yeah, so they're all pretty close.
Yeah.
And so we've seen obviously different outcomes in all those games depending on how the game went. And some of that was matchups. Some of it was who brought their A game, who brought their C game, who turned the ball over, who hit a big explosive play and who didn't. Special teams, like all those things count. So if you are way better than another team, heads and shoulders better, the matchups may not
But if you're
matter as
that
much.
close, should the spread really be almost double digits? And I haven't
That
heard
is-
from anybody this week that thinks
Yeah.
Carolina's going to beat Florida.
It is an interesting spread, but I'm with Wes. I do think it's a fair spread.
I don't think it's that close.
I don't either. But I shouldn't feel that way when Florida. If
But
we're,
didn't you
if
just
we're
say
saying,
they almost you stopped just short of saying South Carolina should win?
No. I'm saying I do not feel that way. I think Carolina's probably going to lose by like 18 to 20 is my guess. But if we are saying that South Carolina and Florida are so similar that it's a game that is going to be dictated by matchups and not one team being overwhelmingly better than the other, why do all of us collectively feel that way? Are the teams actually that close, or is Florida just way better than South Carolina, and they don't have as good a record?
To me.
They're fairly close, but I think their ability to run the football on offense is so much better than what I think South Carolina's ability to stop the run will be. That if I mean, it's an old school way of thinking of it, but if the other team can run the ball pretty much at will and you can't, to me, a lot of the other matchups almost go away. Like they don't even matter. Like you're going to need it's not that South Carolina can't win the game. They easily could, but they're going to need, win the turnover battle, Chris. They're going to need special teams play. They're going to, there's a reason you play the games, but if your percentage, let's say FPI, it's not the end all be all, but 70%, that essentially means, okay, if these teams play to a draw on all these game-changing things, then Florida's going to win most of the time. Now the great thing about football is if you make a bunch of big plays, you block a punt, you force some turnovers, that's how upsets happen. But when I look at the matchups, I'm sort of thinking everything else is pretty equal, pretty even as far as turnovers, game-changing type plays, sort of your things that don't happen in every game. And they're going to be able to run the football, which puts the onus on Carolina's offense to have to keep up. And I don't know if they've been consistent or efficient enough to go do that, even though I think they'll have some success. They'll move the ball, I think, offensively. But can they keep it up at a good enough pace to outscore what Florida is going to be able to do offensively from a matchup standpoint?
Is Florida's running game, and this is for you two to have watched a little bit more Florida than I have, is Florida running game really just contingent on Anthony Richardson being dynamic, or is it a well-rounded running game?
I think it is fairly well-rounded, but also the thing that puts it over to the top is that Richardson is great at – he's got speed and size, so he breaks tackles. It's kind of – I compared it – it's a lazy comparison, but as far as South Carolina opponents, it's kind of like how KJ Jefferson –
That's what I was thinking.
He would fall – you tackle him, but he lands 2.5 yards every time further than where you started tackling him.
But it's KJ with wheels.
Yeah, Anthony Richardson lands 80 yards.
Yeah, he can
where you tried to tackle.
He can make a house call.
Yeah, because KJ's not slow, but Anthony's fast.
Yeah, so you need,
but like Etienne's a good back for Florida.
Yeah, I mean
Etienne.
they have a solid running game even without that aspect.
Mm-hmm.
I think, but add that in, and it's tough.
The main reason that I put Florida as the game that South Carolina needs to win the most is so we don't have to come in the next week and hear Preston and Pearson professing their love for Bill Napier the entire week.
William Napier.
Bill. I call him Bill.
Bill.
Yeah, like that's his name for now.
For now.
I think for good.
For good? Okay.
Yeah, he just seems like Bill Napier sounds like, and I think his dad was a high school coach. Like he sounds like a grizzled old high school coach, even though he's still quite young. So
I just
Bill
can't.
Napier.
I'm glad we've gotten to the stuff I want to talk about. I just can't fathom Bill Napier's hairline. It's so perfect. It is.
Wait, really?
He has the best hairline, maybe in college football.
Wow.
Let me see.
It's exquisite.
Well, he doesn't have much hair in general.
He keeps a low cut, maybe a 1 or 2 on the guard. But hairline is immaculate.
Okay.
That's all I want to see. That's my commentary.
It's really good.
Mm-hmm.
That's solid.
Like not a bad looking dude. I'm trying to think because when you say that, I'm immediately like, who are the hot coaches? Like Cliff Kingsbury hasn't gone for a while. I don't know who the hot coaches are in college football right now.
Yeah, I don't know if his hairline qualifies him as hot.
No.
It's just impeccable.
Yeah, it makes him look nice.
Yeah, he always has a shot because of his hairline.
Yeah. He's not someone that you like do a double take when you pass him in the street. But also, if you were talking to him, you'd be like, okay.
Yeah, and
I'll
I
keep
think
talking to him.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. If he was
The
walking
love
into
fest has already started.
if he was walking
apparently.
into a recruit's
I
house, he'd be
regret
like,
this.
"Man, look at that hairline.
Mm.
All right, let's give this guy a chance."
Yeah, that's good. Well, yeah, battle of the hair. Good thing that I guess the
Oh
battle
no,
is not being
Shane's
waged
losing
between
this
hairlines.
one. Shane's lost this one for sure. But everybody loses to Billy Napier's hairline.
Yeah, that's tough. That's tough. I mean, you're going up against the champ apparently. Not anything that's been on my radar. I guess something to be on the lookout for. No, we don't have time for this, but we will do it. Preston, be thinking about this. Unnamed texter wants to know if you ever went into a game thinking, quote, "Oh man, is there any way we can beat these guys?" End quote. Be thinking about that. Appreciate the text from the unnamed texter. A few more thoughts on Carolina's matchup with Florida next.
More of the Extra Point coming up next on 107.5 The Game. High school coverage on 107.5 The Game is sponsored by Love Chevrolet.
Hey, y'all. Jay Phillips here from my good friends at Dan's Fan City in Harbison. Ceiling fans don't sound like something you think about a lot because you don't really need to, but when you've got good ones, they work so well, keeping energy costs down and your comfort level up. All kinds of fans at Dan's Fan City, big to small and quiet, quality fans. They have accessories and light kits, fan blades, and more. Stop by and see them soon. Harbison Boulevard next to Total Wine, or call Dan's Fan City, 781-FANS. You'll be glad you did.
Hey, this is Paul Romanstein, proud owner of Midlands Landscape and Lawns. Even after 25 years of business, we continue to build Midlands Landscape around the trust and care of our customers. Our desire is to turn your outdoor space into your dream space. Midlands Landscape can create and install patios and fire pits, outdoor fireplaces, outdoor kitchens and cabanas, retaining walls, and even swimming pools. Let us build your outdoor living space. Call Midlands Landscape and Lawns at 356-8080 or midlandslandscape.com.
This football season and every football season, come to campus and catch a game. Whatever the game, whoever you're with, just catch a game. Find your tickets online at GamecockSonline.com.
Bill Gunner for AAA. You a top HVAC technician? Are you ready to stop working and start a career? You can earn up to $100,000 a year with AAA Heating and Air. Quality candidates will have at least 2 years experience and a good driving record. You can give them a phone call, 803-677-1500, or applicants can apply in person at the Lexington office. That's with AAA Heating and Air.
AAA Air when you need us. AAA Heating and Air.
Life moves until back, neck, or shoulder pain hits and brings you to a stop. That's why there's the Joint Chiropractic, an easy and affordable way to relieve pain and help keep you moving. At the Joint, there's no appointment or insurance hassles, and we're open evenings and weekends. Visit today to keep your life moving with our $29 new patient special, including an exam, consultation, and chiropractic adjustment. Visit thejoint.com. That's thejoint.com to find a clinic near you.
Breaking news. Rhino Lining of the Midlands has moved to B&E Trucks at 2018 Charleston Highway in Casey. B&E Trucks, home to CM Truck Beds, the #1 bed. If you're looking to enhance your truck, then B&E Trucks is your destination. Check out the magnificent work they did on 107.5 The Games truck. B&E Trucks specializes in installation of truck bodies as well as equipment trailers, sales, repair, and maintenance. Put B&E Trucks' professionalism and expertise to work on your vehicles so you can put your vehicles to work for you. B&E Trucks.
Hey, it's Terry Ford from 107.5 The Game. Just want to yap with you a minute about real estate. Okay, if you're dealing in the real estate market, either buying or selling, it's the biggest transaction for a lot of folks that you'll ever make, right? So if you're going to be dealing with the biggest transaction you're ever going to make in your life, you need somebody you can trust and depend on, because trust and dependability are kind of important when you're dealing with this kind of money. Call my guy, Kevin Johnson, Jeff Cook Real Estate. Two key values of the Johnson team: communication, availability. Don't believe me? Write down this number real quick. 803-770-5496. That's 803-770-5496. You call it, guess what happens? Kevin will personally take your call. It won't be some 800 number talking to some guy in Billings, Montana, who doesn't know Columbia, South Carolina from Columbia, Missouri, or the country Columbia. So if you're buying or selling a home, call Kevin Johnson of Jeff Cook Real Estate, 803-770-5496, or online at johnsonteamsc.com.
Welcome your guest into a clean, healthy home this Thanksgiving by calling the cleaning pros at Zero Risk Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning. Get 3 rooms of carpet clean for only $129. And when you mention me, Bill Gunner at 107.5 The Game, you'll get a hallway cleaned for free. Easily schedule your cleaning online at ZeroRiskColumbia.com. GamecockCentral.com.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. This is 1075 The Game. Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile.
It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour.
Presented by Firehouse Subs. Founded by firemen with Pearson Fowler,
Chris Clark, and Wes Mitchell.
on the home of the Gamecocks.
1075
The Game.
$11:51 on a Wednesday morning, and welcome back in. It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour here on 107.5 The Game. A couple minutes left, talking Carolina and Florida. More on the specifics of that matchup as we continue on in the week here. But first and foremost, this seems like a matchup that any way you cut it favors Florida. Wes has made that abundantly clear. He said during the break there, for those of you that didn't hear, he said Carolina's going to lose by 100. Oh, that was a really bold prediction, but I guess we'll see if that matches up with what he officially submits to Colin Taylor, the czar of the picks. Anyway, but with that in mind, I got a text here from the unnamed texter asking if Preston has ever gone into a game thinking, "Oh man, is there any way we can beat these guys?" Because that's the feeling I get going into this Florida game right now.
Yeah, we were just talking about one in the break, and I believe it was 2000 against Florida, where the Gamecocks jumped up. We jumped up to like a 21-3 lead. We had a block punt. 21-3 lead in the first quarter.
Oh, wow.
To which Chris just told us how Spurrier responded to that and said it was going to give us a chance to throw the ball a little bit more. So they came back and they ended up winning that game. But that was a game where, if I remember game planning correctly, it felt like we needed to do something out of ordinary to win. Not saying that we didn't think we could win.
Yeah.
But the emphasis was sort of like we needed to block a punt, and we did it. It still ended up losing against those teams. That was also the first games that I could remember looking on the other sideline, and I remember seeing Rishae Caldwell and Jabbar Gaffney and not being starstruck, but being like, damn, those there they go. And they kind of lived up to the and also seeing Spurrier on the other sideline was pretty wild too.
Yeah. So this does feel like a game that Carolina needs to win the turnover margin. Here's some money, Chris. I think Carolina needs a big special teams play. We talked a couple of weeks ago about how maybe it's not unreasonable to think that some of those things could be replicable because Carolina's made a special teams play in every single game this season with the exception of the Missouri game. The defense leads the SEC in interceptions. Anthony Richardson loves throwing interceptions. That's his second favorite thing to do besides 80-yard touchdown runs. Carolina seems like it needs those things. So does that mean, is that it right there? Is that the game?
Probably, but I would just also point out to anybody listening, there's nothing wrong with going into a game knowing the other team is more talented than you. That really doesn't have a determinant factor on whether you think you can win the game or not. So, and that might just be from my Lou Holtz old school sort of thinking, but there was a lot of times where he would lay out as this team is more talented, but this is how we're going to win the game. And you can go about winning the game different ways. So the talent factor obviously is important, but it's not the determinant factor of whether you think you're going to win or not.
So Florida's more talented than South Carolina.
I say yes. No,
Comfortably or
no. Here's the thing. I feel like we've gone too far. Like my opinion is not that South Carolina cannot win this game. I don't think it's. I think 9 is about right. Like that's where the line is. This is not a 20-point. This is not a Herculean. Every single thing has to go differently for them to win. But it's they're favored for a reason type game, and it's not a 3. You know, if a team's favored by 3 or 4, you kind of go in. You're like, all right, this realistically, a lot of crazy stuff doesn't have to happen for them to win the game. So it doesn't have to go completely off the rails, but yeah, Carolina's going to need some help. And this is a Florida team that actually has not overall turned the football over much at all. And Anthony Richardson, I don't think has turned it over in the last. He definitely didn't turn it over last week. I don't know if he's thrown an interception the last 3 games, maybe. Like he's been a lot better.
They do lead the SEC in turnover margin
at protecting the ball. So, yeah, it's not unwinnable. It's just going to take a really, really special effort.
All they need to do is reverse course on the worst running defense in the SEC with one of the best rushing offenses in the SEC and force a lot of turnovers for a team that doesn't turn the football over and do all of this on the road. That's all they have to do. And actually score points, which they've done in one SEC game this year. Like enough. When I say actually score points, I mean enough to probably win a game that will be scored in the mid-30s. There's only one game, Vanderbilt, where they would have scored enough to win a game where you have to score into the 30s. That's all they have to do. That's it.
I mean, I think there have been some outlier games, though, like good and bad for South Carolina. And when you're getting in games like this, that is where the outlier game comes in, where I think Wes put it beautifully earlier. When you have, like you look at the FPI and it's 70% or something like that. That's kind of these teams played 10 times. Florida's going to win 7, but that leaves the 3. And so make this game one of the 3. You go out and you do have to reverse some of those trends. If you're upsetting anybody, you're reversing some type of trend.
I know. I guess I just hate the framework of this game. Like we are already setting ourselves up to be talking about this team on Monday. Like, well, they beat Florida, but they're not really better than Florida.
All you got to do is just be better. Again, when the margins are this close, when one team is not that much head and shoulders better than another, that's kind of where you live. That's where Carolina's lived in several games this year.
Yeah. I guess that's where the middle class of college football, and I guess in particular of the SEC, kind of have to live. We'll talk more about this game, of course, as the week continues. Appreciate you all being a part of the show. No surprise as we quickly wrap up the poll question here that the vast majority of you think that Carolina needs to win just one more game for this season to be a success. 71%, 13% are already satisfied with Carolina going bowling. 13% say Carolina needs to win 2 of their final 3. And just 3% of you think Carolina needs to win out. Appreciate you all voting, being a part of the show as always. Halftime show's coming up next, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.
Celebrating our 15th anniversary is Columbia's Sports Talk Station, sponsored by Lexington Orthopedics and Sports Medicine.
WNKT-FM, Eastover, Columbia.
107.5 The Game.
A Cumulus media station.
I'm South Carolina head football coach Shane Beamer. My friends at the South Carolina Forestry Commission want your help in canceling wildfires this year, at least the ones caused by humans, which are about 90% of all wildfires. Careless outdoor debris burning lacks campfire safety